All right, everybody. This is a pretty unique one, and I'm very, very humbled and grateful that Brian Bechtel has agreed to um, talk to us about a very important topic. And it's kind of unique because in the past, I have reached out to people to help me, and I've asked them to help me with this big project of character development. But in this case, Coach asked me to help, which I just think speaks volumes to who he is and how much passion he has for young people and the development of young people. So very, very grateful to have him. I'm going to do my best to try to qualify him because there's a lot more than what he has shared with me, but I'm going to start there. Brian Bechtel, 4-year starter at Fairfield High School, 1,000-point scorer for his career in high school. 3-year starter at Bethel College, holds a record for assists in one game with 16. I don't know if I ever broke double digits, so I'm very impressed. Pete Maravich Award winner, 1994 NCCAA, 27 years in education. That's incredible, and kudos to you for that. 22 of those 27 as a teacher / CTE coordinator and basketball coach, 19 years as a head coach. The last 5 years he has spent as an assistant principal, and he oversees over 500 freshmen every year. Coached 4 scholarship players, 1 Division I at Western Michigan, and 3 NAIA. Northern Lakes Conference Championship and Coach of the Year in 2003. He's been married for 25 years to his wife, Carrie, and with her, they have 3 children. This blew my mind when I'm reading the ages. Brady's 23 years old, Brooks 21, and Quinn 16. I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but that absolutely blows my mind that Brady is 23 years old. But Coach, I would just add to getting to know you, aside from your lengthy career and very successful career in basketball and athletics and education, I first got to know you as a man, and I can't tell you how often I recall back to some of those conversations in the van over on the res and how much that meant to me that you not only were willing to share with me advice and insight, but you sought opportunities to do so, much like you sought this opportunity to help kids that you don't even know. I just think that, again, that speaks volumes to who you are, and I truly appreciate you taking time out of your school day to share this, to share your information with my kids. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. As you know, I've watched some of your episodes and started inquiring a little bit. And when I watched Jake Deers, I thought, yeah, I think I could help these kids, and that's why I've been in education 27 years, is because I love helping kids, and I see kids smack flat on their face sometimes, and I see kids just excel. And the cool part about being a freshman over or principal over freshman is I get to actually watch them then as they go throughout high school and develop. And man, there's some kids that I just like, I can't believe they're graduating now. You know, the way they were when they were freshmen and the way they've matured. And so that's really the cool part about being the principal of the freshman class.
Very cool. Yeah. So the topic that I think you're obviously extremely qualified to talk on, it's a little bit different. It's not necessarily overtly character related, but clearly we know the connections are all over the place. But the focus of this conversation is on success as a freshman. And clearly this is going to be super relevant to our 8th graders who are now starting that process of really preparing for what the next few months are going to look like. But I think it's relevant to any middle schooler, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, because it's coming, right? I mean, it's going to happen. And again, with you being so connected to the freshmen that you're with on a daily basis every year, I think that you're going to be able to share some really valuable insight. And I hope people take this stuff to heart, because it's one thing to be prepared for it versus trying to recover when you're already there. So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to start there as an incoming freshman. So for these 8th graders that are in this character group, or for any 8th grader that's out there right now that might end up seeing this, what is the biggest hurdle that you see these students potentially face as they get ready to start high school?
Yeah, that's kind of hard to just put all into one. But the biggest thing I think that they really don't kind of grasp is the amount of work required to do for 7 periods of high school versus 7 periods or 5, 6 periods or whatever it is of middle school that they're in. and the expectations of getting that, of all that work. And so what I see as the biggest hurdle is kids don't organize their time well. And that's the other thing is like, you really are out of any kind of elementary / middle school mold where people are watching over you a lot closer. You have just a lot more freedom here. And we treat high school kids like high school kids, and we expect them to be mature. And the reality is, and I tell kids this all the time, like as an eighth grader, you're the most mature people in the building that you were in, in middle school. And now you're the most immature people in the building because everybody's older, wiser, more mature. And you think about how you act as an eighth grader. Now we're expecting you to act like ninth, 10th, or 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. And they do catch on to that as they go. But they just don't have that, the time management skills to manage all the work that they actually have to do. And it's really been bad in this pandemic, and as much virtual school as we've had to do, which we've been pretty fortunate to do a ton of it, but managing your time and doing all your work and prioritizing things is probably the biggest hurdle that I see when kids come to high school.
So what, in regards to time management, if you had to try to prep somebody who acknowledges that maybe they struggle with time management, maybe they've never even thought about it, what are some tips, tricks that you would recommend that these kids are starting to think about before the first day?
Yeah, so I think number one is figure out how you're going to be able to organize all your stuff. And I know most of us have student management systems where you see all of your assignments and what to do and that kind of stuff, or what you're missing. But what we don't necessarily have in those management systems is an organizer, something that you can use your cell phone if that's how you do it, using your notes, or I'm sure there's apps out there to write down what I got to do today and what I got to do tomorrow. And kids are extremely good with technology. You guys can set up spreadsheets, and Google Sheets and whatnot. And this is what I'm going to do today. This is what I'm going to do tomorrow. So I think finding a way to stay organized and take ownership of that organization. Like don't make your advisory period teacher set that up for you. You set it up before you even come to school that first day. Get a way to be organized with what's due, and then turn everything in on time. And I think a big thing is don't do anything else at home until you are done with your work for the day, right? So you go to school, you go to practice, you go home and eat dinner, and continue that schedule. Be in a routine. Continue that schedule where you get all your work done. And then if playing video games is what you like to do, then play video games for an hour at the end of the day. A lot of us old people think video games are bad, but I've watched my own kids, right? Like you got your microphone on. That's how you guys associate and how you guys interact with other kids. And I think that interaction is extremely important. So do that stuff, but make sure that you are disciplined enough to not do that until priorities are done first, and get those priorities straight with school first.
I can't help but jump to how that benefits you if you end up going to college. If you could figure that out as a freshman, because it's almost involuntary. You don't have a choice in college. I mean, this is just the way it's going to be. And it seems like days just bleed together and you're just trying to stay on schedule and stay on task. So how valuable that can be for those who end up going to college. That's great.
And if you think about it, I said something about there's so much more freedom at the high school, with passing periods and a big building and whatnot. You go to college, it's even more freedom. You don't even have classes back to back to back. You might have a 2-hour break where you can take a nap and study or go shoot hoops or whatever you want to do. And so that time management skill, if you can learn that as a freshman, you'll be so far ahead in your high school career and in your college career for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so obviously a lot of experience day in, day out with freshmen, and you mentioned it in the beginning. It's really neat for you to see these kids change, hopefully progress as they get into 10th, 11th, 12th grade and eventually graduate. But unfortunately, I'm sure you've also seen the other side of that. And I'm sure you've seen students who come in as a freshman who may have their own expectations. They will have their own goals. You certainly have goals for them and expectations for them, but maybe it didn't work out the way that they thought it would. And you see a digression in their performance academically, athletically, so be it socially, whatever it may be. What are some of the common things that you have seen among the students who have digressed instead of progressed throughout their high school career?
So, absolutely no question. When you get into that freshman year, there's more freedoms that are granted you, even by parents and that kind of thing. You see, when you get to your sophomore year, there's a progression of, I might get my driver's license now. 16, maybe I've got a girlfriend now. And when kids hit that upper ninth grade and into their 10th grade, they just have more freedom. And then the poor choices start happening even more. You start to, when I work with kids that aren't coming to school, well, they got to get themselves up because mom and dad are at work in the morning early, and there's no babysitter to take care of you more, and so you got to get yourself up for school. So I see attendance really start to slide, when they get to high school and into that 16 grade. I see poor choices with drugs and alcohol, and you get to that, and really it comes down to who you're surrounding yourself with. And that kind of leads me to a point that I kind of wanted to make today is make sure you stay involved in something. I just put a thing out today about a code week where kids can go to one of our community colleges and learn about coding and be involved in an internship if a business picks them as the winner of this contest and whatnot. Maybe it's sports, maybe it's gaming, maybe it's coding, maybe it's dance club, whatever it is. Stay involved, because when you don't get involved, you have all this time on your hands to make poor choices. And I think that's where I see a digression is kids are playing Little League and growing up. Their parents are putting them in all these things, and now they get to make some of their own choices in high school, and they choose to not get involved. And that takes some courage to step out of your comfort zone and say, I'm just going to walk into that. I'm going to walk onto that game field, and I'm going to approach that coach. I'm going to say, I want to go out. It's easy to just sit back and not do anything. So get involved, keep yourself busy, set priorities, and stay out of the trouble that you get when you have that you have that freedom, that extra freedom, I guess.
Okay. So decision making, we talk about that, and I'm sure parents talk about it too. And so many of these things, I think they get repeated, and the kids are getting hit by so many different angles about the same idea, that you worry that they become mute to it. They kind of turn it off in one ear out the other. But it's interesting to see. Obviously you're in Indiana. You're a many state away from Florida, but the concept is exactly the same. And these things are so common for a reason. And I guess maybe the hope is, if you're hearing the same thing over and over again from many different people, hopefully you see some truth to that. And that decision making, and you've said it, as working with freshmen every day over the last 5 years, decision making becomes a critical piece in progression versus digression. So hopefully that lands for some people. So I guess ultimately, I'm curious your perspective on a connection between character and a student's success, not only as a freshman, but in high school in general. What is the connection between someone's character level and their ability to be successful in high school?
Well, I think character, maybe somebody said this on one of your episodes before, but I think character just simply means doing what's right. And I think to add to that, doing what's right, whether your parents are telling you to do it or not, do it for yourself. Whether your coaches are telling you to do it or not, or your teachers are telling you not, or Coach Smart is telling you to do it or not, do it for yourself. Take pride in doing what's right, even when it's not convenient for you, even when it's not comfortable for you, even when no one's there looking, right? You're the only one in the room. The right thing to do is to shut the TV off and go to bed. The right thing to do is to put your dishes away and put them in the dishwasher, or wash them if that's what you do at your house. But mom and dad are gone, so I could probably get away with just setting them here, and they would do what's right no matter who's watching and who's in the room, or who's expecting you to. Expect it of yourself to do right. Cutting corners it just becomes a habit. And when you cut corners once, it's easier to do it the second time. If you take a sip of alcohol once, it's easier to do it the second time when you're 15, 16 years old. What other those kids are cutting corners and doing, take pride in yourself to do what's right. Tough kids don't cut corners. Successful people don't cut corners. And when you look at successful people all throughout your life, whether it's your parents, grandparents, siblings, professional athletes, whatever, they do the hard stuff. And they do the hard stuff all the time, even when it's not convenient or when no one else is watching.
I can't help but think of doing the right thing even when it's not popular, because so many examples right now, maybe more than ever, it's just not very popular, it seems, to do the right thing in a lot of cases. It's much more popular and accepted to do the wrong thing or do the bad thing, whatever that means. And it can be difficult, especially for a middle schooler transitioning into high school, new set of people to try to impress and fit in with. You see how peer pressure plays such a big role in some of these bad choices. Even if the kid may be conflicted in thinking, I know this isn't the right thing to do, but man, I want to survive and I want to have friends and I want to be liked. Talk about a conundrum that a young person could find themselves in. But like you said, even in the face of that, having the courage to say, yes, but I'm still going to do the right thing. Not easy, but like you said, I like the word tough. Tough kids.
Tough kid. Yeah, I come back to that book, Jay Billis, Toughness. I'm sure you've read it, and I would encourage any kid who's interested in sports, especially basketball, to read it, because there's a lot of things in that book about being a tough kid. And I see kids, in the hall and in school that think they're tough and they're just posing, and and they're putting up a front for people, and they got to look this way or act all hard or whatever. That's not toughness. That's actually weakness. Tough kids will do the right thing and do the best thing, no matter if anybody else is coming along with me or not. And that's when you get into some true leadership. Then when you drag people in with you, you stand and you'll find when you stand up and make the right choices, and you do the tough thing and the right thing, other people will come with you, because they want to do the right thing too, a lot of them.
Absolutely. And sometimes you give them the green light and the freedom now to do that, because they're not the first one. They can follow you now in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
Very valuable, Coach, and I can't thank you enough. I know you've got a school to run up in Indiana. I hope that it's reasonably warm. I don't know. I don't think it is.
Hey, you picked me on
we're good.
You picked this on a great day. It is 64 and sunny.
Oh, well, you're living large. Good for you.
It hasn't been above 40, and we've had days in the negatives in the last month. And so 64 and sunny, I'm putting shorts on and going out for a run today, I think.
Absolutely. We would be bundled up in our winter's best, for sure. But enjoy it. Coach, thank you for your time and your insight. I certainly appreciate it. I know I speak for anybody watching it. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for your willingness to share and help our youth. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, and I appreciate what you're doing for the kids, man. It's all for the kids, and keep doing good stuff, Coach.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Yep.